What's good, everyone? It's 23MJ88 back with another video today. And for today's video, we'll be taking a look at the performance review of the Nike Lebron 19. All right, to start things off, we're going to go over the traction on the Lebron 19. The traction actually consists of little crown logos, as you can see here. For front to back motions for traction, it was pretty good, but anything laterally, the shoe would just slide. It didn't matter. I was on clean floors, dirty floors. I'd wipe the shoe. I would slide out 6 inches to a foot basically on any lateral cuts, jab steps, crossovers, basically everything. I'm gonna insert a video here showing that, but yeah, just lateral movements, this crown logo traction pattern did not hold up. Like I said, front to back wasn't bad, but basically any cutting movements, this shoe did not hold up. As far as durability, there are a few portions of the outsole that have flaked away. Not quite as bad as the Nike Kobe NXT 360's outsole, but for me, this traction pattern just did not work. If I'm not confident in my movements on crossovers or hard cuts, I can't play in a shoe, and this shoe had that issue. So for the traction on the Lebron 19, I'm gonna have to score this a 6 out of 10. It was pretty upsetting, to be honest. Like I said, any lateral cuts or movements, crossovers, this shoe just did not hold up for me. So as far as cushion on the Lebron 19, I thought it was pretty good. It does sit very high off the ground. As you can see here in the heel, there is an Air Max unit. And what I think is pretty cool is it actually has this air chamber setup. It says inflate to 20 PSI, and then it has little valves running to either side of the Air Max in the heel, and then one running forward to the forefoot Nike Zoom setup. It does have pillars near the forefoot for support, obviously, but for the cushion on the Lebron 19, it has a Cushlon midsole, which is pretty cushy once they're broken in, and then in the heel, there's this massive Air Max bag, which leads to the Nike Zoom setup. For me, usually I like to be really close to the ground. On the Lebron 19, you're just not gonna get that. Actually, in the Lebron 19, LeBron's personal pairs, the Air Max unit in the heel is about 2/3 the stack height, so it's a lot lower to the ground. His forefoot unit seems the same, but my only gripe with this is if it's too much for LeBron for the height, then it's gonna be too much for anyone else. I enjoyed this setup because of the impact protection, but I just think it's kind of OD as far as cushion goes. I think if you brought the Air Max bag down a bit, and then I think the Nike Zoom setup in the forefoot's spectacular. I had no issues with that. And I think this setup with the air chamber is actually really cool. So as far as the heel to toe transition on the Lebron 19, in my opinion, it's actually pretty nice. With the Max Air, the Cushlon midsole, and then the Zoom Air in the forefoot, it's a very smooth transition. And then coupled with the chamber setup in the bottom, theoretically, the way this is supposed to work is when you come down on your heel, it's supposed to transfer air to the Zoom Air bag through the valve. And then when you come off your forefoot, it's supposed to release the air back into the heel. How good does this work? I don't know. I didn't notice anything different from any other Lebrons, like the Lebron 9, but it does have 20 PSI in the heel, so that's something to note as well. But as far as heel to toe transition on the Lebron 19, I actually really enjoyed it. So for the Lebron 19 cushion setup, I'm gonna have to give this an 8.5 out of 10. I think this cushion setup for the average player is just gonna be too much. For me, like I said, I do enjoy max cushion setup, so I did enjoy this setup. But for the average player, you know, the point guard, the slasher, this setup's just gonna be too much, too high off the ground. So for me, this is gonna score an 8.5 out of 10. So as far as the materials go on the Lebron 19, you kind of have this screen mesh that runs through the whole forefoot and up to the heel, as you can see. It is backed with heavy padding that does have the print on the underside of the screen mesh. But as far as durability goes of this material, super durable. I've probably played 20 to 25 hours in this shoe, and it's showing absolutely no wear, as you'd expect with a Lebron shoe. But my biggest downfall for the materials is that it's not breathable at all. After an hour and a half, 2 hours, my foot is soaked. So for me, I would have preferred a different setup where it does offer some airflow. And then as you can see here, the tongue is that very padded material as well, but it just offers zero airflow as far as the materials go on the Lebron 19. So as far as the materials around the heel, you have this plastic setup that runs up this wing as well. And then you have these Air Max pods on the ankle collar, on the heel, and then on the medial side as well. For me, I just don't care for these Air Max units because number one, eventually this is going to deflate. It's not going to last forever. And number two, it's going to yellow over time and it's just going to look horrible. So as far as longevity goes, as far as those Air Max units, they're not going to last. So just basically the way this shoe is built with its materials and the Air Max units and the cushion setup, it's a very heavy shoe. So for the Lebron 19, this shoe comes in at a staggering 21.3 ounces. And then in comparison, the Jordan 36 comes in at 14.45. I've got a couple other shoes here. The Kobe 6 Protros, the Grinches, are 13.55, so that's a pretty lightweight shoe. And then the Lebron 8 South Beach comes in at 19 ounces. One thing I really wanted to note as well with the Lebron 19 is actually just the fact that LeBron has barely been wearing this shoe. I think he started out early in the season wearing it, and then he switched out, and I think he's been wearing the Ambassadors, and he's kind of went back and forth. And like I said, we've seen a different height in the Air Max bag and the heel, but just the fact that this is his signature shoe and he's not wearing it, I think that draws some concern. I'm gonna have to give this shoe a 7 out of 10 for materials. So as far as the fit on the Lebron 19, they do fit true to size, so get your regular size as far as the fit goes. This is a size 10.5, which I usually go with, and my toe is sitting right near the end. It does start out feeling a little bit narrow, but once they're broken in, half an hour of running around in them, they do loosen up nicely. These materials loosen up nicely. So for the fit, it's a moderately wide shoe, I'd say, but for me, they felt a little narrow right out of the get-go. And then they do fit true to size. One thing on the fit as well on the Lebron 19 is this collar height. It's super high, and then on the inside, the padding on the collar stops right here. So this kind of plastic or TPU collar is actually causing some chafing. So if you wear ankle socks, this shoe is not going to be for you. You have to wear mid to high top socks, and it does rub on your sock as well, and it kind of wears away the material on the sock. There's some photos of LeBron where you can see his socks all chewed up. For me, it did chew up the sock, but it didn't rub right through the sock where I was having pain, but it is something to note. And a way I actually think they could have improved that is if they brought this plastic collar down and then brought this padding up just past the collar height, just so you wouldn't get that on the Lebron 19. So for the fit on the Lebron 19, I'm gonna have to give this an 8 out of 10. Starting out with the support on the Lebron 19, you do have this kind of midfoot lateral plastic TPU wing, and it runs all the way through the bottom, which actually turns into a midfoot shank plate, which is like extremely good for torsional rigidity. The shoe barely moves. And then it does run up the medial side as well. And the laces run directly through those wings. So those wings kind of harness your foot within the shoe when you're making lateral cuts. And I had no issues with support on lateral cuts. The shoe held my foot in fantastically. So that's probably the main support system on the Lebron 19. Obviously you have an internal heel counter as well. And then also you have this fly wire at the top and bottom, and it's on the medial side as well. And then you can kind of see on the inside of the shoe, the fly wire runs down. So the laces run directly through the fly wire. So that offers some lateral containment as well. As far as the support goes on the Lebron 19, I think it's fantastic with this lateral and medial wing, the midfoot shank plate, which offers insane torsional rigidity, like the shoe barely moves, the internal heel counter, and then you have the fly wire and then your foot actually sitting within the midsole, the Cushline midsole, and then this outrigger, I'm gonna have to give the Lebron 19 a solid 9 out of 10 for support. So overall for the Lebron 19, for me, I just can't recommend this shoe because of the traction. If you've been having a different experience with this traction, that's great. But for me, on lateral cuts, on clean or dirty floors, it just did not grip for me. And if I can't make moves confidently on the court, I can't play in a shoe. So unfortunately, the Lebron 19 was a bit of a bust. It will not be in my gym bag moving forward. But if you need an awesome cushion setup with a lot of support, look no further because the Lebron 19 does offer that. That's going to do it for today on the Lebron 19 performance review. As always, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, we'll see you next time. Peace.